What's happening, municipals? This is Big C. Let me tell you about a great place in Vision Golf. Indoor simulators have exploded in golf, and Vision is leading the charge here in Portland. With the use of leading simulator technology in Golf Zone, you get transported to 200 plus courses across the world with the most realistic simulator experience you'll ever come across. With a hitting mat that not only gives you the turf to simulate real rough and sand conditions, the mat also raises up and slopes to create real live positions like playing on the actual course. If you're in need of a lesson, Vision Golf also has you covered with the PGA teaching pro Ignacio Cern. On top of that, they create an atmosphere with full bar and food options and sports on all the TVs that you're never going to want to leave. This is a great place for all events to be hosted with the VIP section to accommodate groups of all sizes. If you live in the greater Portland area or even the Pacific Northwest, you have to come out to a Vision Golf and check it out in Tigard, Oregon. Use code Municipals and you will get your first hour for free on your first visit. Also, check out league nights and monthly events. Envision Golf, the Pacific Northwest premier simulator facility.
How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, municipals? This is Ashton and not Big Chris. I am here with captain, my captain, Paddy Burda. Paddy, how you doing?
Mr. Moss, good evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Other than I think you just said, it sounds like I lived out to a BART station. That would be fine. I don't. It's just that they decided to, I think potentially rip up the floors as we're pressing record. So I don't know. Is it live operatives potentially? Should I be checking the door potentially? PGA Tour dick riders over here. So don't know. We got to kind of monitor the situation with the grinding floor.
Tough life.
Wonderful.
Tough life for the
Tough
urbanite.
life. That's true. Yeah, you never quite know. There's, I do love sometimes at 9 o'clock when there are people, it happens probably once a week around 9 o'clock. Someone will sit on their horn for at least 45 seconds, like literally right there. Now, this is an audio medium, but like literally right there. And you're just like, cool, like we're watching TV and it sounds like you're honking like in my home. So I don't know, maybe the move is to move to Modesto and we can just play more golf together.
Buddy, I can tell you right now that it's pretty quiet here after about 9 p.m. in Modesto. So we have a pretty quiet neighborhood. We don't have any of these crazy horn honkers that you got to deal with over there. So
Hashtag live operatives.
Live
Well, actually, what I'm
operatives.
getting a sense of right now is it's 5:50. It seems pretty quiet over there right now as well. So I don't know. But as a reminder to listeners, Paddy was on, I don't know, a couple months ago, kind of talking about Central Valley Golf, which was a big kind of, I don't know, area for me and Chris. We got a lot of good feedback on that pod as well, Paddy. Like a lot of people were like, cool, like, I'm going to be driving through that area and had the sticks and now actually have a couple places to go. And it's long overdue. I got to come out too and play if you got to show me around. But I know this is, we just competed, unfortunately, against each other.
We did.
Unfortunately against each other in a kind of a team match play event we'll talk about. But before we dive into that, just kind of wanted the Paddy update. I mean, like I said, Paddy's the captain of our kind of no laying up chapter, kind of a little update on the chapter up with you. I know I think you played Monterey Peninsula. I think you played Pasatiempo in the same 2-day stretch. So you've been playing some good golf.
Yeah, it was the heaters come in little, as they do with most of us. They come in little spurts. Had a quiet few months there in the kind of the springtime, March, April, May, June. But I was fortunate enough to spend the week over in the Santa Cruz area last week, and had a family friend that's a member of Monterey Peninsula. So my dad and I got over there and played the Dunes course and had a good match with a couple of members there. And what a great place! It's just it's very, very grown up. Very grown-up spot. It's the kind of spot that you got to wear pants, and you better shave your neck in the morning when you go there. And we had a great day. It was a little kind of one of those days where the fog blew in and out all day, kind of mystical and magical. And then the next day, my dad and I hopped on over into stayed in Santa Cruz and played Pasatiempo. My dad's got a tournament there in a couple of months and wanted to play a practice round, and this was my one chance to get my one round in at Pasatiempo that I like to play every year. It's good for the soul. So got to do that. I was actually at Pasatiempo 2 weeks ago following our Royal and Ancient Company of Dishonorable Golfers NorCal chapter around in their match against the boys from Seattle as a captain. So didn't get to play Pasatiempo, but got to walk around and kind of coach 4 of our guys around in their matches, which was almost more fun than playing. I got to see kind of some angles of Pasatiempo that you don't usually see if you're just kind of playing the course. I got to cut across some holes and kind of be on the edges of some of the holes and see, like I said, see some of the angles that you don't get to see. So that was fun, and then finished up the heater at Pacific Grove on Saturday in the Fleming Cup. Which was a great day. We started at the hay course at Pebble Beach and got a couple of loops around there, had a bite to eat, and headed over to PG and had 24 guys play a little, I don't know, Ryder Cup style match, and it was awesome. It was a great way to end 2 weeks of really fun golf on what's my favorite place on earth, which is kind of that Monterey Peninsula, Santa Cruz area. So can't wait to get back.
Yeah, it's hard to beat. I mean, I never have moments where I wonder why I moved here, but when I have days like we had on Saturday when it's 78 degrees at 8 o'clock in Monterey, it's like, yeah, I mean, Atlanta's great. I'm excited to show you there at some point, but like this is where it's at. It's really, really special. And man, some of those courses. I'm curious, when you were doing all that, like, did you stay down there? Like, because you were down there so long, I was like, is he like just Airbnb or kind of did you drive home? Hopefully not.
So my parents, the last 12 years, my parents have always rented a cabin up in the Tahoe area for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and kind of anybody from the family can come and go and stay and do what they want. And the last 2 or 3 years, we've gotten literally smoked out from the forest fires when we've been up there. And last year we said, we're not doing this again. So decided to try Santa Cruz, which is where I have kind of a long family history of people going there in the summertime. And so my mom and dad said, well, we'll rent a place in Santa Cruz. And so they did, right on Seabright Beach, right, literally a block from the ocean. And Airbnb, and my sister and her husband and kid went over, I think, the first week. And then I, as the calendar allowed, sauntered on over there for my trip. And so we were over there. So got to do a lot of non-golf stuff as well, which, it's easy to find stuff to do in Santa Cruz and Monterey, and you just kind of step out the door and you either want to go to the beach or go in the water or go hike or go ride your bike or explore. So always a good spot to do some cross training in addition to the golf.
Yeah, I saw plenty of hiking on your Instagram, which, again, when you can kind of weave some of that in. I mean, we love golf, but a little hiking and a little ocean's good for the soul as well, especially if you can kind of mix that up into the same day.
Big Randy talks about the benefits of the medicinal seaside air, and I think it's a little bit of a bit when he talks about that, or a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I am not at all tongue-in-cheek, or it's not at all a bit with me. I'm just... If I spend a day over there or a few days, golfing or not, I always come back re-energized, rejuvenated, and ready to tackle Modesto, Ashton.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I again, as someone who grew up 5 hours driving from the water, I think that the fact that we're so close to it is wonderful. I mean, just a couple weeks ago, I had to go to the doctor, and the only doctor I could find was in Mill Valley. And I dorked out because I got to drive across the Golden Gate Bridge to go to the doctor. I was like, this is awesome. Like, again, it's the doctor, but this is great. I know this podcast is not about Pasatiempo, Paddy, but I'm curious. I always like to get people's perspective. Like, well, some of those extra angles, I know that you, the secret tee on one, is that kind of one thing you were referencing?
I always like to check that out. There's there's that tee box that if you get out of your car and you kind of walk past the pro shop and past the bag boy area and towards the practice green, there's the first tee on the right where the starter guy is. There's the practice putting green straight ahead, and then left up the hill is, I've always just called it the secret tee. They use it, I believe they use it for the Western Intercollegiate, the collegiate event in the springtime that San Jose State hosts. And then I also believe that they use it for the club championship. So they use that tee box, and then there's the kind of the small little tee box that you walk by on number 2 on your way to the conventional number 2 tee. There's that secret, quote unquote, secret tee that's right there on 2. So those are always fun to look at. And then we were teeing off number 10. And 10, as we all know, is one of the great par 4s, really in the country, and used to be a par 5. And the tee box for that apparently was up in the parking lot, which, if you're standing on the 10th tee, you look up, it makes sense. And so we played with a couple of random guys from Arizona that didn't know that. So it's always fun explaining that to people that don't kind of know the secret. Obviously, everybody knows where Alistair McKenzie lived on number 6, and everyone knows where the plaque is, and things like that. But and you and I were talking about the angles. I think standing to the side of the 18th green. So if you're looking at the green from the tee box to the left of the green, if you go kind of, there's that new parking lot, and you can park there and kind of walk over there. And if you do walk over there, you can really see how, deep that front barranca is, those bunkers are, how steep that green is. And I think that's the one thing that if you do walk around Pasatiempo as a spectator and not as a player that's just walking down the fairways and walking to the greens, is when you're standing on some of the sides of these greens, how much slope there are to them. And we know that as people that play Pasatiempo a bunch, but seeing it from different angles really puts it in perspective.
Yeah, it was interesting. I've only played there twice, but when I played there most recently, I played with 2 buddies who had never played there before, and it was definitely interesting. It was definitely interesting watching them try to figure out where to go kind of before I told them. And even I made some mistakes, like number 10, I thought I could go farther left than I thought. I kind of do my quick tee pickup, which I'm working on, not a good look, and almost hit it into the houses because it turns out...
Hey, you don't need to rush the tee pickup. You don't need to rush it. Don't worry about that.
I know that my dad has given me some good advice. I think I did that I've kind of always done that because, again, it's in my head it's a pace of play thing, but it comes across not good. And I did that with my dad when we played recently, and he goes, just very matter-of-factly, he goes, yeah, you look like a douchebag when you do that.
Well,
and he's the one person I was like, thanks. I'm like, I know, Dad. Like, I know. It's my gut reaction trying to get out of the way. He goes, no. He's like, when you do that, and you do it every time you hit a good one, you look like a douchebag. So now whenever there's a video
Thanks,
of
Dad.
me hitting a driver, I'm extremely self-conscious. So it's not, hey, we're working on it. Maybe I need more of that medicinal sea air to kind of get to my head and realize that I can, I can watch it for a second and then not look like a douchebag.
We can always count on our dads to keep us in line. When I pulled up to Santa Cruz last week, I had the window down and kind of my arm out the window. My dad told me that I looked very sinister. So, all right, well, it's a look. It's a look I'm going for. You and I kind of have a similar look right now, so I guess you look similar or sinister as well, Ashton.
Yeah, we're for our listeners, we're kind of both swashbuckling pirates right now.
Yeah, it's a look.
The mustache, the little kind of chin piece, question mark, chin.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Well, I think
yours is different.
I think the immature people might refer to it in the old days as a flavor saver. I would never. I wouldn't stoop to those levels. This is a much classier. I think it's what I'm going for is the the technical term is the Van Dyke, right? I'm kind of going for the Van Dyke mustache goatee. So you and I are going for the Van Dyke.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I now have a reference point because I look in the mirror and I'm like, how can I make myself not look like a complete idiot? And somehow I've decided that this is me not looking like an idiot. But hey, who's to say? Like, the girlfriend likes it, and that's all that matters. She has informed me if I'm clean shaven, this is over. So I just have to keep some sort of hair on my face.
Anything, something.
Anything.
One quick note about Pasatiempo that was kind of cool last week.
Yeah.
I mentioned that I was over there with some family, and I went on a little bike ride with my uncle. And I also mentioned that I had some family history in Santa Cruz. And so we went on this bike ride, and my uncle goes, "Hey, let's go right up the hill here in Santa Cruz. I'll show you where your great-grandfather lived, Dr. Randall, Dr. Sam Randall." So we went up and saw this house that my great-grandfather built in the 30s, and says the Randall House on this little bronze sign outdoor, or on the wall outside. And this old lady lives there now, but so we're checking it out. My uncle goes, "Yeah, so after he built this, he moved and built a house over at Pasatiempo." And I mean, my jaw hit the floor. I had never heard the story about my great-grandfather. He owned the house that's, as you're driving up the main drive there to go to the parking lot, you got number 9 on the right, and those houses on the left, he owned 3 Clubhouse Road, which is one of those houses. And so told some buddies I've always had a deep affinity for Pasatiempo, and I guess maybe that's why it was really cool to find that out, that my great-grandfather was one of the original folks that lived in that little development there in Pasatiempo. So a little nugget and a little piece of family history that was cool to find out last week.
That is. I mean, I think that means that you're a member de facto. You don't have to pay the initiation fees, and you can play there whenever you want. That's
I think at the very least, Ashton, at the very least, it means that I get 50% off the green, off the 3. What are we going for now? 375. 335 green fee. So 175 max green fee is what I demand as a.
Randall.
Hey, listen, Dr. Randall, Paddy Randall. To be fair, I was named after my grandmother, Paddy Randall. So, listen, we could go deep down the family tree. The listeners don't want to hear that, but that was a cool little way to end the week over in Santa Cruz to find that out. So, might have to do the old, kiss the driveway every time I drive into Pasatiempo now.
Yeah. So again, you have to be careful people aren't in the house. I just watched.
Care. Do I look like I care?
Okay.
I do not care.
No, again, you look sinister. No, it's a fair
sinister.
point.
They're going to call the police on me.
Hashtag flavor saver. No, I just watched the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm when the lady who used to own Larry David's house comes and just wants to walk around, and the whole episode is about her. She has keys. She lets herself in. She ultimately steals the plan, and Larry ends up on Judge Judy. So don't end up on Judge. Actually, do end up on Judge Judy with that mustache. Judge Judy would just be like, "You win, Mr. Randall, you win. You win. You're a full-fledged Pasatiempo member."
I think we found my alias for any golf event over the next year. Paddy Randall.
The Randall foursome.
Randall foursome.
Before we move on from Pasa Paddy, what's your favorite hole? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
It's a tie between 13 and 15.
Okay.
I think 13 is I just think it's just a great, beautiful par 5 that you have to hit 3. Usually you got to hit 3 good shots. I mean, the long hitters obviously can get there in 2. But if you're not precise on your second shot, you have a very, very demanding, either pitch or bunker shot or something around that green that is, one of the wildest greens in Northern California, kind of with that shamrock, clover kind of shape. And then, I'm always a sucker, and I've said this loudly for many years, that every golf course should have a short par 3. And by short, I mean under 150 yards. And so I just think 15. It's very memorable. I love the bunkering. Obviously, it's going to be a wedge for most of us, but you got to hit a good shot, or you're going to make a bogey or worse. And it's obviously sort of sandwiched in between two more, I guess, famous holes: 14 with the Barranca in the middle of the fairway, and then 16 with the wild green. But just like I said, as a sucker for short par threes, that's the one that sticks out at me. And so, kind of having, that par 5 and then that par 3 sandwiched between the par 4s. That's always what I go to when I think of Pasa, that tee shot on 15, and then, the second shot on 13, looking at those. Andy Johnson at the Fried Egg always talks about those bunkers that are 30, 40, 50 yards short of the green that look like, they flow. They're supposed to sort of look like they flow into the Barranca on the left there, which I think is a really cool design feature. So, long answer, 13 and 15.
Yeah, you can have two. I mean, I totally agree. I'm not sure about 13 as the entire hole, but I think that 13, if you want to include all the bunkering as green complex, I mean, it's the background of my phone here. Like, that's all the bunkering at 13. I have the Pasatiempo. I just got the Pasatiempo flyover green thing, and it's amazing. Like, it's so amazing, and it's so, like, you really have to your point, you really have to pay attention. Because, I mean, I honestly, I think when we just played there, hit a good drive, hit a 6-iron, and I was probably 2 or 3 more revolutions from the ball going in the bunker, and I could have made who knows what. But I kind of pitched up there, almost made birdie, but I was like, dude, like, I didn't need to push up that close, but I had forgotten how far the bunkering comes out.
Well, it just rolls out. I mean, your second shot, when it lands, if it lands at the 150 marker, 125 mark, it's going to roll. It's going to roll a long way because it kind of goes downhill. So it is. It's a good little, our good doctor. It's a good design feature by him.
Yeah. And then to get us away from positive, one last story. I think you mentioned earlier. Everyone knows Alistair McKenzie's house, but he's not on the pod. I have to just not even drive by, just shoot Big Chris. Big Chris absolutely told us 100%. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's up here on the left. Big Chris was insistent. Actually, to the point where he took a picture for the wrong hole, that the house behind the green was Alistair McKenzie's.
So, listen.
No.
Does he know, or did you figure out why he thought that?
No.
Tron, I feel like on the No Lane Up Tour Sauce pods a couple years ago when they were doing the recap of their California trip, talking about Pasatiempo, Tron made a comment where he made it sound like he also thought, and I'm not quoting him verbatim, but it was something like, Mackenzie I bet he used to just step out of his patio onto that green and just mess with it and do some provocative stuff. So it's like almost like Tron also thought that his house was up there. So I don't know if Big C heard that. They're both incredibly wrong, and I'm going to call both of them out on it. So, I mean, there's literally a plaque that everybody takes a picture of and posts online when they get to it. So, I don't know what to tell Big C, and I don't know what to tell TC. They're sorely mistaken.
It's the C boys. Trust Randall, nor the C's.
Exactly.
Big C, if it was Tron's fault, I'm sorry. It's just as someone who's gone on golf trips with you, like when we went to Bandon and we're on the first tee, and you look down at me and go, I'm not wearing my golf shoes, and you run to your car as balls are in the air. I've had a lot of experiences with Big C, like prioritizing the hot dog over his golf shoes, and like, okay,
wow. Let's not demonize the man for that. Jesus.
Well, I'm just not a big hot dog guy. But onwards we go. So, Paddy, tell us about, give me the history of the Fleming Cup. I mean, I just participated in it. I had a blast. I don't know. I know a little about Jack Fleming, but how did this come to be? Because I think this was the 3rd annual Fleming Cup, I believe. Correct.
You played last year, correct? So this is this was your first year. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Fleming Cup, this is our third annual, like we just mentioned. So our first one was in August of 2020, which was, I think we thought it was like the end of times when we played our first Fleming Cup. We had it at the venerable Baylands Golf Course in Palo Alto. Still kind of in the midst of COVID. If you looked at our kind of group photo after the round, we're all kind of masked up. The skies, if I recall, were very dark and ominous due to some forest fires, and so it's just a very eerie feeling that day. We couldn't hang around after the round and have celebratory beers with everybody. We literally we played our rounds, and Bayland said, "You guys got to get out of here. You can't because of COVID." So, but just to back up, the Fleming is a 12 versus 12, what we call a Ryder Cup style match. So we have Team Mackenzie versus Team Tillinghast, named after Dr. Mackenzie and A.W. Tillinghast. I came up with these names, to be honest with you, Ashton, and they suck. I will take full responsibility for the shittiness of the names of the event and the teams. They're not very fun. They're not very exciting. They're not very memorable. When I named the event and I named the teams in 2020, I was sort of deep in the fried egg architecture, golf architecture game. Not that I'm not anymore, but I wanted to create an event that sort of paid homage to some Northern California golf architects. So Fleming, as we all know, Jack Fleming's had a huge influence. I think he's designed about 4 billion golf courses in Northern California. Dr. Mackenzie, we know, Cypress, Pasa, Meadow Club, Green Hills, Shore Park, the others that I'm probably forgetting.
Kind of Sharp Park.
Kind of Sharp Park. Listen, I know.
It's a fucking disgrace, but that's,
we got bones, baby. There's still bones. And then
dude,
AW.
the vibes are unbelievable. I love putting on a Plinko board for only $60. You too can putt on greens that you describe as fucking slimy. Go ahead, cancel me to the moon. But just when you go from Meadow Club to Sharp Park, I gotta fucking say something. I'm sorry.
No offense.
Omakase sushi, ramen noodles. It's like, ooh, one of those things is not like the other.
All right, so we're going to cross Ashton off of next year's Sharp Park event for us, noted. And then Team Tillinghast, named after A.W. Tillinghast, who was the architect at San Francisco Golf Club, which I was fortunate enough to play a few years ago, and I think I just played it, and I was kind of feeling the vibes from that day, and so I came up with that was the team, kind of the team names and the event name, and I'm leaning on my fellow Bear Cubs in the RACDG Golf Club. Anybody, email me, text me, anonymously, however you would like, with any ideas for names for next year's event. Let's get this thing. I'm looking at some of the other clubs around the country, some of the other Roosts, and they got some great, funny names, logos for the event. So I think we got everything dialed in but that. So hopefully next year we got something a little bit more exciting than the Fleming Cup and Team Mackenzie versus Team Tilly. But as it were, Ashton, year number one ended in a tie, and so we had a one-hole playoff. Baylands would not let us play one of the holes on the golf course, so we went and played that practice facility short range hole that's like parallel to the driving range as you walk to the 10th hole. Myself,
was the rationale COVID?
Yeah, they were like, you guys got to get off the property. Like, you guys played your round of golf, you got to get off the property. And we're like, we've been here all day and we're tied and we need a way to determine this playoff. Is there anything we can do? And so it was a 1 versus 1 playoff. like a closest to the hole contest, I believe it was. Team Mackenzie, which I was the captain of, am the captain of, prevailed in year one. Last year, we moved it to Pacific Grove and had a great time. Kind of finished there at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock on the back nine, which is always a great way to do it. Team Mackenzie won the event last year handily, I believe. And then this year, once again, 12 versus 12. Last Saturday afternoon, we had a 2 o'clock tee time. And I know some of the guys had a real struggle getting down to the Monterey area with some horrendous traffic. So I just want to thank everybody for seeing it through and sticking it out and making the trip down and not turning around and giving up. Everybody made their tee time. But congratulations to Team Tillinghast this year, of which you were a member, Ashton, and their captain, Giles Oakes. They looked great. They switched up their uniform this year, kind of had a pink pastel thing going, which was, as the opposing captain, it was intimidating to look at. As the owner of a company called Pink Spider, I was very jealous of to see that. So, the guys on Team Tilly looked good. They played well. They deserved the cup. They drank out of it. They drank out of it hard. They drank out of it deeply. Saturday night behind the green at Pacific Grove, we had some pizza delivered from Mountain Mike's. And it was just a great day. I think everyone had a good time. It seems to be our most popular event of the year. We have it's basically a two-man match play, two-man best ball matches with a front nine, back nine, and an overall portion. So each match is worth 3 points. Seems to always come down to the end, which is what we like to see as captains. A lot of laughs. It's fun to see. For me, it's fun to see a lot of different golf personalities that I have gotten to know over the years sort of congregate in one spot and get to know each other. And so as much as I can, I kind of sit back and just watch, guys meet each other, get paired with each other, compete against each other, and it's fun. And I can't wait to do it in 2023 and take the cup back.
Do you think we'll go back to PG? I mean, obviously, no, we're a year out, but do you think that's going to be the anchor site?
Ash, I just don't see, other than the traffic issue that we had this year that seems to be hopefully a one-off, I don't see any reason to move it. I've had the best luck communicating with the staff at PG. I've had two different guys I've had to kind of deal with in getting this thing organized. So we had 24 players, so it's not the biggest. Look, we're not putting on big events here, but 6 tee times. We had to get out in front of it by 6 months, and so it's emailing the golf course, and it's making sure we're talking to somebody and actually getting responses back from somebody at the golf course. And the guy that we dealt with in 2021 left Pacific Grove this winter, so a new guy slid in and kind of filled the reins of what the guy was doing last year, and it was seamless. And they were really on top of things, and I really got to commend the shop at Pacific Grove for helping us out. I got to think that we get a little bit of a tournament rate. It was $45 to walk, which I think is a really good deal. And so I don't see any reason why we wouldn't go back. Ashton, what do you think as a competitor? What, obviously you're just one man, you're just one voice, but what's your takeaway from the Fleming Cup this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it would have resonated anyway, but I think obviously for me this year, for us throwing a 24-person Ryder Cup style event earlier this year, it really turned my brain onto, and I think a lot of our friends, onto just how awesome team golf is. Like, team golf is undefeated. Like, my dad has been playing, and, he's been going on golf trips with his buddies and competing since he was 16, 17 years old. And he said he'd give everything else away if he could just keep the team golf stuff, how it's the most fun, it's the most engaging, it's the stuff that sticks with you the most. So love the format. Also love the 1-1-1, because I mean, of course it'd be fun to make it, you know, like 2 different courses, but just for the simplicity's sake of, you know, I mean, selfishly, like probably like most people, I left the house at 9:45. I got home at 11. Like I could have spent the night, but like for that, I couldn't have played any more golf, and I still, you know, so I think it's perfect as far as that. And then as far as PG, I mean, I think the thing that I like about the team best ball component is, and you know, I know this can be a bit of a trope, but it's a quirky golf course, right? I think what I like about the quirk factor is the strategy, right? There was a lot of times where Juan and I were like, who should hit hybrid and who should hit driver, you know, based off of hitting drive, you know.
Same.
There's a lot of that component, and I think that's really fun, instead of like, hey, it's another 425-yard par 4, both going to pound driver, and like, who's going to hit it closer, where, you know, there was times where we had to, almost every single hole we were talking about the strategy of what to hit, and that's really fun. So I think that, like, if we're going to keep it, as we should, I think, as a 1 round exactly in this format, I think PG is perfect, because it really, let's just put it this way, if you're not communicating with your partner in that way about what you're hitting and why, you're gonna get waxed, because like, you're just gonna hit it in the dune, you're gonna make like, yeah, I think it was perfect for that, because it was like every single hole we looked at each other like, okay, let's work backwards. We really have to think about what we're hitting and why. And I thought that was very stimulating. It was a very stimulating round of golf.
Yeah, and it doesn't, I mean, it starts from hole 3. Obviously, holes 1 and 2 are unique in that we have back-to-back par 3s to start, and you know, two's all you want for par 3. But then, I mean, so my partner on Saturday was Tanner Gunning, our guy out of Santa Rosa, and you know, right out of the gates on number 3, you know, it's like, what do you want to do, partner? And you know, he's got a driving iron in his hand and confidently steps up and just is like, I'm going to hit this in the fairway for you, partner. And I'm not a super aggressive player when I'm playing by myself, and I normally would not hit driver on the 3rd hole at Pacific Grove ever, but I did on Saturday and hit a good shot. And then, you know, kind of like the same thing on 4. And then it's like the same thing on, I mean, so it's not just, I guess my point is, you know, obviously we like to talk about the back 9 of PG, and it is the reason why we go there. And the quirk on the back 9 and the decision making and the strategy is, and the senses firing, all that is like, it's completely, you know, on point on the back 9. But the front 9, you kind of gotta plod your way around too. If you want to play it well and you want to win a match or you want to score out there, like, you can't just get up to the 5th hole, the first of the back-to-back par 5s, and just say, I'm just going to bust driver. Because for me, utmost importance is having a clear 3rd shot on that hole. Or if I'm in a team match, making sure that one of us does. And so, yeah, I just, you know, the front 9 at PG is, I feel like this is kind of maybe the cool thing to say these days, but it kind of gets a little overlooked. It's not, obviously it's not the back, but it's not a piece of shit like people make it out to be. You know, you got to think your way around it, and you got to hit good golf shots. I mean, you got to step up on the 1st hole and hit a good iron shot. And then you got to step up on the 2nd hole and hit a good long iron shot. And then we talked about 3, 4, 5, 6 is, you know, a fun par 5.
And 7 is like potentially like the tightest tee shot ever. And the big thing is that the first time I played there, I hit kind of a 6 iron. I had like 200 yards in. So it's one of those where like, that is a really, really challenging hole. I mean, the way I think about it is, yes, we go for the back 9, right? The back 9 is beautiful, it's scenic, all those things. But I think the front 9 is much more strategic. It's much, much more strategic, because to your point, like 1 and 2 being par 3s, but like 3 involved strategy. 4 for us, Juan hit kind of this beautiful, in a very Juan way, at this kind of like greasy choke down kind of driver. But it actually went into the back bunker, and like I think almost like went through the back bunker. I swung a little bit too hard, and I hit it OB long. But I mean, that's kind of what I mean. Like all the time, maybe not, but it's fun in that format of like you can hit on a par 4, you can hit driver over the green OB. You can choose to look at that as stupid if that's your course all the time. But I think that's it for this. Like that's a really kind of fun.
It's a very, I mean, not that I've played a ton of golf in the Northeast, but feels very Northeast that you can do that, and
yeah,
at least. Four's got that elevation change that makes you think. And then, hitting I think the one thing that we all sort of came away with on Saturday on number 8, which is the difficult dogleg left par 4. I mean, you can play if you want to make
dogleg right.
Dogleg right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to play that hole well, you have to play the ground game, and you don't think to do that on that front 9, but you have to land that ball 50 yards short. I guess you can if you're coming from maybe a flyer lie or a longer iron shot, but you can land that ball 50 yards short left in the fairway, and it's going to release all the way down to that green, and that green almost sits in a little bowl. And so, it's almost a sense of what's coming on the back is a little bit of that ground game, which is one of my favorite things to do on that back is just get saucy and get creative and do some fun stuff because you can. And we don't get that opportunity here in Northern California that often. And so, it's just so fun, and it's just so fun as a team golf course. You're talking about strategy. I mean, the front 9, it kind of just it tells you what you got to do a little bit. I mean, it's just like it's straight. It's kind of it's tree line, but in the terms of team golf, it's very strategic in that. All right, my partner's in the fairway, or my partner's not in the fairway, and this completely changes how I'm thinking, and you have to make that decision in 5 seconds after your partner hits or whatever. I think that's just so fun and something that we don't get a lot of. And I can tell you, Ash, you know this. I mean, guys were grinding out there. I mean, it's not an NCGA event. It's not even a NorCal Golf Guys event in terms of the officialness of this thing. But for a lot of guys, this was their big competitive event of the year. And, they told me that, and I appreciate that. And it's just fun to see guys grinding with their, with their pals against, 2 other pals in a tight match. Nothing makes me happier.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I know that it's weird. Like, Juan and I are buddies, but it's more of like a mutual admiration just because we sort of live on different timelines. Like, whenever I'm free, Juan's not, or vice versa. We get to play with him was such a thrill. But, I mean, exactly what you said, because, I mean, I came into this, and this is kind of my perspective all year. I'm the new guy. I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to earn my stripes. I'm going to, I'm not going to be the I'm not going to come in too hot. But I remember, and this is not meant to drive by shoot Joe or Eric, but I think it was like the 6th or 7th hole. And one of them said, that something happened where they were like, yeah, but this doesn't really matter. And I turned and looked at Juan, and I just sort of got really focused, and they walked away, and I was like, this matters to me. Like, I really want to beat them. Like, they're both loved playing with them. Like, Eric and I had this great banter. They Mets and Braves and all this stuff. But in my head, I was like, no, this isn't the Cal Mid-Am that's my goal. But you could be damn sure I don't want to roll up to 18 as the new guy, the guy who gets invited this year and just gets my doors blown off. Like, I wanted to win, and that was yeah. I mean, it was definitely fun. It was fun, but I was just chopping it up. But Juan and I were very focused on getting it done because we wanted to win. It was that simple, and it was fun. It was different,
as kind of the tournament organizer with Giles, I walk, and as somebody that plays competitive golf and realizes how fun, realizes 2 things: how one, fun competitive golf can be, but also 2, I appreciate how unbelievably stressful competitive golf can be. And so, while organizing the Fleming Cup and Ashton, we follow each other on Instagram, and so you see my post or the the Golf Society's post and how we're pumping it. Like I walk a fine line of trying to be competitive, of trying to hype it up to be competitive, but kind of tongue-in-cheek competitive, but also like, but I want guys to know that this is also like competitive. So like the month leading up, I'm messaging my team, and I'm like, what, do they know that I'm sending them like the yardage book for Pacific Grove or whatever. It's like, I want them to win, but I don't want them to think this is like truly the Ryder Cup. I mean, we're out there having, but like I said, we have most of those guys that played in this. This is their first kind of go around at competitive golf, and they have fun, and it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see them grinding, and yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the other thing it does, the competitive nature is, I think it also, like, obviously you guys are all kind of my tribe inherently, right? But I think the competitive nature, at least what I found, has, like, really helped me identify that. Like, the person I probably I talk the most golf with Big C because of the podcast and stuff. But I would say that I have the most, like, stimulating interactions with Hussey, because it's weird. Me and him are like, the same handicap. We hit at the same distance. We have the same sort of issues. And the more we've gotten to know each other, we sort of have the same insecurities. And like, I don't know, there's just a component of like, and this is where I feel so lucky to have like partners like we do, is like Liz understands that, like, it's weird. My mantra, that I say a lot on this podcast is, it's about the golf, but it's not about the golf, right? Like, I'm becoming friends with you, and I never would have met you without golf, and I'm so thankful for that. All these people, I moved here and did not know a soul, and now to have all of this community, like, forget, like, you can get a game anywhere. People I really care about who have my back, right? That is true. But there's also a world in which, like, I want to get good, right? Like, I want to play good fucking golf. I want to be proud of the golf that I'm playing. I want to go out there and compete. I want to play good golf. And so it's weird, like, both of those things exist. But I think, to me, that is why team golf is the perfect marriage, right? It's like, Juan Hurtado fucking cared about that match, as did I. We had fun. It was collegial, but we really cared. And I think that's why team golf is so special, is because you want the community. You want to find the person who's going to grind, and when you kind of find that together, of like, Juan and I played, I think Juan shot 71, I shot 74. We just fucking balled, and like I got home at midnight, but I got That's like, how's your day? And I was like, it was really fucking good. Yeah. Like, we played good golf, great group of guys. Team golf is undefeated. Can't wait for next year. That's really cool, right? And that's where I feel so lucky for our group. Kind of our friends, because that intersection of, I really care about golf, but also like that community aspect is huge, right?
Yeah, and so, real quick, for me, obviously growing up playing a lot of competitive golf, that was sort of my circle, and my tribe was the guys I played competitive golf against, and so inherently those were a lot of scratch players and really good players, and guys that are focused on winning events and competing at the highest level and qualifying for USJ events. And somewhere in the last 5 years, and a lot of this has to do with the No Laying Up community and our golf society that we have with the RACDG, is getting to know and playing golf with and enjoying and appreciating golfers that don't share those goals and don't have those aspirations and aren't on that level, but love the game of golf, want to see cool places, have a good sense of humor, that we just enjoy being around. And we've sort of, it's funny how we just sort of find these people, and we've sort of, if you play with somebody once or twice, you kind of know if it's not really your guy or your vibe, and that's okay. But usually after one time, you sort of know that, like, yeah, You know, I mean, we got one of our members, Scott Mills, in our golf club. I played with Scott. I think our first round was 3 years ago, and you know, Scott's a chiropractor. And he's very, you know, I think we would all describe Scott's very focused and very serious, and takes golf serious and takes his profession serious. Me personally, perhaps don't take things all that seriously that Scott does, but we had a great time the first time we played together. And Scott struggled on the front nine, and I kicked him in the ass on our walk to the 10th tee and gave him a little pep talk, and he had a great back nine. And we're going to talk about that round of golf for 30 years. You know, I have no doubt. And, you know, and it's just things like that make me thankful to be part of this silly game that we play. And there's a lot of shit going on in golf right now that kind of makes me real jaded on a professional level. But when I spend days like I did on Saturday at the Hay Course in Pacific Grove with you guys, and we didn't even talk about live, and we didn't talk about lawsuits, and we didn't talk about antitrust. It was, you know, as good as golf can get.
Yeah, and I think to your point, I mean, I think what's special is like, look, I'm not saying this can't exist without golf. It definitely does. But at least in my world, you know, outside of the trips, the stuff that I do with Liz, I mean, those things that really stand out in my head, those things that like those memories that you're saying of that round that are so sharp, for better or for worse, that they're all golf, right? Like I could, like to your point, I remember, you know, we've. On the record, don't have to litigate this. We had a terrible experience at Rams Hill.
Yeah, we know.
I remember
we know.
That if you want to pay $200 for fungus, then you can.
Listen, we gotta let it go, baby. We gotta let it go. It's been 2 years. You gotta let it go, baby. Share park. Focus on your share park.
No, but I mean, I remember that round as, you know, we had been playing kind of like okay on this golf trip, and then the big thing we both kind of realized, again, because our brains work similarly, is we just kind of were hitting like, what are you hitting? It's like, yeah, kind of 9, like, you know, like a lot of this. We're like, hey, here's the deal. We're gonna ride in the car together today, and we're gonna tell the other person what we're gonna do, and we're gonna finish with, I'm committed to this shot. And I don't remember what it was. I think we both shot like 75. We're like, there's something, but like I remember that day so specifically, right? Where it's like I play golf all the time, but that moment of, oh wow, like setting an intention, like it's just so crazy. Where it's like sometimes I forget what I had for lunch today, but it's like, oh, I remember on the 14th hole when Hussey had that flop shot to a back left flag with water behind him. He explained he was going to open up his you know, but it's like I just feel lucky that like. But it matters, right? Because the stuff that doesn't matter goes away quickly. But I think it's always like and that's where golf is so magical. There's places we're going to see together that we wouldn't like. I probably wouldn't have been on the Monterey Peninsula with you ever, right? Or like when I go to Bandon next year for my first full-blown trip, I'm never going to be in that place with those people, right? Or God forbid, when I ever go to like Scotland or Ireland, hopefully with my dad, it's like, I don't think Dad and I would go to see, you know, to Fife if it wasn't for golf. But that's the gratitude, right? You and your dad, right? Like keeping track of you and your dad and your kind of what you guys do in your Pasa Tiempo day where your dad hits it to 2 feet to close out the match. Like, don't tell me that shit doesn't matter, because y'all wouldn't be there without the game. And that's what's so special, right? Yeah, to your point, we got to deal with the fucking live, whatever, but like that's one thing, and then what we're doing over here is entirely different, and that's golf. This is golf, right?
Yeah, golf is, you know, I mean, golf comes in 1,000 different forms, and it's what you make it, and it's how you enjoy it and how you have fun. You know, we're getting ready to go back to. Myself and 3 of us are getting ready to go back to Kansas City in a month for the No Lane Up Roost Regional Club Championship that we qualified for, and we're playing Swope Memorial, which is a great old Tillinghast course, but we're playing Bruff Creek National, which doesn't even have like real putting greens. Like, I'm going to Kansas City to play like what is essentially a 7-hole pitch and putt that doesn't have greens that you can really putt because they're a little too shaggy, but because I feel like I was maybe not intimately involved in the development of that golf course, but God dang it, I was there when that thread was first written on the Refuge message board, and I remember sitting there reading all of those thousands of posts, watching Ben develop, should I make this one hole? Should I do this into a 7-hole course that's going to host, 60 of us in a month? That's golf. And the fact that I can go from Monterey Peninsula CC, which obviously I'm very fortunate enough to play, and it's a great place, to go from that to Bruff Creek National in Kansas City, that's golf. To me, that's golf. And I think that's really cool. And I can't wait to see where else I get to play and where else the silly game takes us, and who else I get to see it with. I'm going to Bandon in the fall for the first time, and I'm going to Chambers next month for the first time. And so, we continue to make bad decisions on golf courses that we probably, and trips that we probably, can't afford and shouldn't go to. But listen, it's good for the soul. It's good to see friends. Good things develop out of these things. And it's an investment in life. That's how I look at golf events and golf trips like this. So, and golf experiences like this. So something good always comes out of them. So we're going to keep doing them, Ashton. We're just going to keep going on them.
Yeah. And next year we got to get you, hopefully next year if the schedules align, we'll get you out to the cookout so that we can do some even more team golf. I mean, I'm just trying to, that's the big thing. I think this started off about sort of proselytizing, that's the word, great public golf courses, which we want to do. But I think this year has sort of evolved into that, but let's also match it with team match play. So the more match play we can do, whether it's Municipals, whether it's RACDG, whatever it is, let's just all, yes, make sure handicap is right. Don't be scummy. But at the end of the day, let's all play more match play, right?
Yep.
Well, Paddy, thanks for coming on, man.
I have one question. I have one more question. I'm sorry. We are into the semifinals of our year-long match play event, the Knockout. My semifinal opponent is your Fleming Cup opponent, partner, Juan, Good Lies Only Golf. Do you have one? I've heard he's been playing some incredible golf, confident right now. We don't know where we're going to play at. I don't want to play him at, I told him that I wanted to play him at Lincoln, but on my drive home, I said, I don't know if that's a good decision, so I got to figure that out. Give me one tip in a match against Juan, Good Lies Only Golf.
Man, a good tip.
Without sacrificing your friendship or your partnership in the Fleming Cup.
A good tip.
Or what do I need? What do I need to? I guess let me rephrase this. What do I need to expect?
Yeah. So Juan's only weakness, if he has one, is his driver. If his driver is on, it's scary. Like at Soul Park, we had our morning best ball round, and won because he's classy and he's not Patrick Reed. He kind of knew what his score was. I think he had a putt for par that he definitely would have made, but he rounded up to a bogey because he didn't finish the hole, which is just classy, unnecessary but classy. I think he shot 74 doing that, so it would have been 1 over par at Soul Park, which is he had never seen before. It was just he's played amazing golf. So if his driver is on, if he gets up on the first couple holes and stripes it, you need to doubly put on your superhero cape. The thing about Juan, I think he's gritty. I think that's so overused. Everyone's the whole Cam Smith, greasy, oily, but it's Juan, except he's not a douchebag live guy. He's a normal guy, soccer coach.
He's not a normal guy. He's a Publix golfer from San Francisco, which, listen, as a kid that grew up reading about, some of the guys that competed in the San Francisco City and Blue Jeans and some of these quote-unquote gritty competitors, I feel like Juan is cut from the same cloth. And,
Yeah. I mean, funnily enough, I forgot what hole it was, like early in the match. Eric was teeing off and he goes, I kind of feel like we're like, just like the jeans and the kind of the cut off baseball sweatshirt. I was like, Juan, it's you, man. Like, it's literally, like it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think that, but that's where, I mean, the irony of good lies only is, I mean, the magic of Juan is like, he sees shots that I don't see. He's more creative. He's one of the most creative golfers. Like, conditions don't matter. Like, because I'm kind of those people, like, again, and this is not great, but like when it comes to Lincoln, I'm like, if I'm going to spend $60 and go out there, like, I just want it to be good. And Juan's more of like, I just want to play, right? And I think that really helps him because, like, there's no excuses about the greens. There's no excuses about the lies. There's no excuses about the wind. There's no excuse about the fog. He's just going to hit golf shots. So I think the big thing is, like, check yourself early on about, like, if the driver is good on the first couple holes, buckle up. But you're going to see him hit a lot of shots. And the one thing I will say is, like, without being specific, as it can change, he's going to pull some tactics. Like, I don't know what it'll be. But like
jingling of the change in the pocket, like some savvy stuff.
Nothing like that. He's not Tiger's dad, fortunately. So you're Robert and he's Earl. Randall. No, but I remember I gave him shit because when we were playing, like during our match, I had a birdie putt from, I forget, like 8 feet. Juan goes, that's good. And he goes, and I was going to still putt. He goes, oh, you can't putt that. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure I can. Like, you gave me the hole. But I did some detective work after, and it turns out I am allowed to do that. That has to be established early on. So I am allowed to finish the hole. And he was insistent that was not allowed. He was trying to do everything in his power. If he's like, no more greens. He had to, like, run to the next tee, essentially.
Well, listen, this is what it sounds like. It sounds like Juan and I might be the same person. We have our kind of the same philosophy when it comes to golf and tactics. Yeah. So, as captain, I might have to make an executive decision and just put Juan and I in the finals, just advance us both into the finals at Pasatiempo. Is that fair, or should we actually play? Maybe we should play the match. I don't know. Well, I think it's going to be a good match, though.
Here's the deal. If you guys go to the finals, and then you can pull the Randall membership and get this dumb motherfucker in the round for free, I think that's a wonderful decision.
Well, this is all I can tell you, Ash, is that by the time the championship rolls around, that I predict that I will be playing in. I want you to caddy for me in a full Van Dyke beard. It's good. So you got a couple months to get this Van Dyke beard going. You're going to be looking fantastic.
Can I have a white suit?
Oh, you look like Colonel Sanders.
Oh God! As I'm sitting here in Georgia swag, like no.
Hey, my Notre Dame Irish are number 5. Your boys are number 4.
Let's go! I'm excited.
It's August. It's August. I can't get ready.
I can put Randall across the back, just confuse everybody. It's like, I thought this was the Burda tea time. It's like, no. It's a long story.
Sir, that's Dr. Randall.
Well, we now have 2 docs in the group. That'll be super confusing. But yeah, no. But with Juan, I mean, there's no relenting. I mean, I've not witnessed these myself, but there's been plenty of stories of Juan being 4 down with 4 to play, taking it to extra holes. Like, as my dad would say when I was in high school, run through and to be clear, not running. I'm not a runner. Run through the finish line. Don't take your foot off the gas until you've chopped his head off completely. Assume that he's still going to be moving around.
I can't wait for this match. It's going to be a good one. I have not played with Juan. We suggested that perhaps we play it last Saturday at the Fleming Cup, but we both decided it would be just too much going on. We want to focus on the match, so we'll get it. It's going to be a good one. There will be content from
I'll say, well, keep me posted. I mean, I could also pull you in wherever course you play. I could explore the other lines, the other angles while y'all are playing.
I cannot recommend this enough to the listeners of this pod, to my golf friends. Obviously Pasatiempo, but if you can get out to any good course and go watch a golf tournament, whether it's an NCGA event, whether it's a local USGA event, or obviously go watch it. But like really pay attention to some of the angles that you see from the side of greens and side of fairways that hopefully you don't see too much of while you're playing the golf course. I trust that everybody will be right down the fairway and right down the middle of the green on every shot they hit, but it's a good opportunity to check out golf courses. So if you ever get a chance to do that, even go to your home course. Go to your home golf course. If you haven't walked it and you haven't walked the sides of it, to check out some of the different angles. Do it.
I did it at Lincoln 2 weeks ago. It's the Random Golf Club chapter. They were doing a 2-man scramble, and me and Liz had a late night the night before, and I knew it just wasn't gonna. Yeah. It was not gonna be in the cards for me to wake up, and so I slept in, grabbed a breakfast sandwich, and sat on 17 tee and watch everyone tee off, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, grab a cup of coffee, go
weird.
walk. Yeah, it's weird.
It was definitely weird. It was weird to be on the tee box and not play, but I liked it.
Yeah, that's good.
I liked it.
It's good. Got to keep golf fun and new. So it's a good way to do that.
Yeah. Patty, thank you for making the time. Us playing some golf soon is overdue, but thank you for coming on. And count me in for the Fleming Cup next year. I can't wait.
Awesome. Always good to be on. Always good to be on with you guys, and love what you guys do. I know, like we said, you have a very niche little podcast, but I know all the guys in our group appreciate what you guys do and love the features on the golf courses, and we glean a lot from what you guys talk about. So keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Peace out.